All right, how are you doing? This is George with Truck Driver Nation. So what I'm going over now, this is basically the service you're offered as a freight dispatcher. I want to kind of go over, how they actually impact your charging rate. It's going to be kind of loose leaf because when you're charging for freight dispatch services, I come mainly from my perspective. I'm experienced, been doing this a long time, but for people that are just coming into freight dispatching, on how you strategize and build your business, some people go low because they're trying to build their clientele. But to me, that doesn't really serve a good purpose because if you're doing 3% or 4%, it's not logical based on the economy that you live in, basically your cost of living. So if you choose to do that, just know that you're going to be working hard and you're not going to see the fruits of your labor. Now, I literally just got a message from a truck driver. Literally, I offered him a freight dispatch service, right? Or actually offered him his job opportunity to become a freight dispatcher. And I say, why are you making the money as a company driver or lease purchase or lease rental? And I know there are some guys out there that make better, but I'm a recruiter. That means knowing that I'm a recruiter, I know what they're making. Lots of them are making $1,500 and on down. And he gives some smart remark about, well, that's the problem with the whole industry because of freight dispatchers, da da da, and fuck you. So the point with people lashing out like that, and if you experience this, you have to understand the number one possibility is you're just a straight idiot. Okay, idiots are a dime a dozen. Shit, go stand in front of the truck stop while people go in and out. Every one of us that have been in logistics a long time have seen grown men fight at the fuel islands, fight at the fuel desk, fight over a damn Subway sandwich. Who in the hell's standing in line? So we've seen the stupidity come out of people. Um, but in addition to that, when you're actually looking at what you're going to charge as a freight dispatch service, you got to be able to understand why you're charging that. Um, and the biggest problem in logistics, I'm not going to say whether it's brokers or dispatchers. You got to have dispatchers. How else are you going to get your load? If you were all that and then some, just like that driver, then you'd have been able to actually go in there and go find your own loads. Okay. Loads go to load boards, and they've been doing that when we used to have the TV monitors inside the truck stop with the company you call and what load it was on there. Okay. So this ain't a new invention. Okay. It's been there. The biggest problem, what's happened in the industry, is the freight prices have gone down because they went down because now you got too much capacity, not enough freight. So then the person that's mainly going to be in charge of that to some degree, don't think a direct shipper is not watching their money too. Everybody keeps going broker, dispatcher. The direct shipper is not just staffed with a bunch of idiots in their logistics department because they have a logistics coordinator that is the one in charge to make sure that they're not just blowing money. Why people don't remember that? Because you don't know business. Okay, how am I supposed to teach you that? Whoever your parents were or whatever education for your fine university didn't teach you what you need to know. So that being said, there's more than one part. It comes direct shipper, the broker, dispatcher, driver. I don't know how many times to name those four sections of what actually makes up the whole logistics supply chain as the money trickles down from the direct shipper all the way down to the bottom man, which just happens to be the truck driver. But anyways, as a freight dispatcher, the services you provide are directly related to the rate you charge. Now, these services range from basic load assignment, to more complex logistic support. Now, understanding the full range of services will help you justify your rate and ensure that you're providing enough value to warrant your fees. And that's the whole point. Rest of this, I'm not, that right there was read off a script. Okay. So I gave you that, and that's the whole point. That's the reason I read that one because I knew you need to understand you've got to justify your fees. Now, load book and assignment. Load bookings, your load boards are your direct shippers. You're going through a broker or you have freight yourself. And if you're that, then use your what we call an asset-based carrier. That means you have a brokerage side and you have an actual dispatch side. So in those, what you're actually giving me, bang for the buck, as an owner operator dealing with you as a dispatcher, is going to offset that 5%, 10%. I don't go below 7% because you got me and I'm experienced as hell. If you know more than me on something, then you've done real well. Because, and the thing is, I'm not stupid. Please tell me what you know because I would like to learn too. I'm in logistics for life. So, other thing is your route planning. Most of these drivers are, unless you're just dealing with inexperienced company drivers and you're a dispatcher for a given carrier, everybody knows where the interstates are. Okay. You got GPS. Map books are kind of obsolete at this given point, but everybody's GPS and their routes. you can go on Google Earth or Google Maps, and it just shoots it straight through. Your GPS keeps you out from under low bridges. For those that can actually read the yellow sticker before you cram a 13.6 under a 12.8 bridge. Um, so make sure you know it. And we don't really cross a lot of borders other than Canada. We don't cross into Mexico. Those trucks are all being dumped off in Laredo and stuff, and they actually get them across themselves. So we're not crossing with American equipment. Carrier and driver communication. You got to communicate. If you're not communicating with each other, there's your problem. I mean, if you don't want to communicate with your wife, okay, so what makes you all of a sudden you're the top notch whatever when it comes to communicating with your dispatcher? And do you have a dispatcher that's communicating with you? If you This is a communicating social networking aspect of logistics. If you're not interactive with what you're actually doing inside being a freight dispatcher, your success just drops off. That is one small thing that you could do to increase your overall profitability and your visibility inside the logistics community is just by doing that one. And 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 I know some of y'all are, oh, yes, ma'am, no, sir, and all this. I'm from the South. It was always that way, but I don't know very many people that have actually earned that from me. So I'll definitely take you to where you need to get on whatever tasks you want to dispatch me on because I work for you as a dispatcher as my owner operator. But until I actually build a respect out of for seeing what you do, if I can just watch your ELD and see that you're running like a truck driver actually should, then you got my respect because I understand how much you physically, mentally, and stress wise you're putting yourself through to achieve your task. And it's my job to not interrupt those tasks, but to support and to actually, if I can emphasize them or elevate that level, that's my task that you've dispatched to me for me to handle. Negotiating rates, you got to know how to negotiate with these brokers. Don't be the first one to open your mouth and start saying, well, I'll do it for this. It's their freight. If you bring out a car and you stick it on the side of the road and I show up to look at that car, I'm not going to sit there and jabber, well, hey, I'll give you that much for the car. And the guy probably had probably half of that on the value of the car. If you've never done car hauling, you realize how cheap cars are because you went to IAA, Manheim, Copart. You know what cars are actually worth. They're not worth crap. That's the reason dealerships make so much money. So when you're actually negotiating these rates, have the understanding why you want that rate, why you're asking for that price. Is it the fuel? Is it where the freight's at? Is there so many trucks in that area that actually that's going to hurt you? Or is there so much freight in that area that actually gives you better leverage with that given broker? I do the freight agent side too. So don't just take what they're saying. Well, we've got X number of dollars in it. You know, you teach a damn bird to tell it wants a cracker, and every other bird's going to cough up the same damn cracker comment. So make sure that you have the ability to justify. If it's not where you need, I say, look, brother, you know my number. I want to do business. I got a truck. It's ready. It's standing by 90 miles, 100 miles, 30 miles out, or it's just sitting down the street and get that load, be there on time, grab that load and be there on whatever time. Or I actually can get it there beforehand. If it's first come, first serve, can I get it in earlier? I don't want to wait till 2 days later and I could have been there a day earlier or even 10 hours earlier, whatever it is. Time is your enemy when it's in logistics because that's what we base everything off of. So make sure that you're not just throwing money away when you're actually negotiating your rate, but also, there's a feasibility balanced out based on what's available in that given region versus deadheading that equipment a long ways. 200 miles is a long ways. Don't trip it. Okay, well, that's average. It's still a long ways. If you ain't sat behind the steering wheel and drove 200 miles, there's nothing available within that 200-mile radius. So you take it and throw it out. That's 400-mile radius. Diameter straight across 400 miles. That's a lot of area that not have no freight. Um, Documentation and compliance. You help them keep all their DOT stuff straight. Any documentation they have that has to go to as far as their safety, their ELD performance, maintenance records, invoicing, any of that stuff. That's documentation. It's staying in compliant with DOT. So when they do get pulled in a DOT, hey, pull around back, bring your paperwork in. When they walk through those doors, everything needs to be up to date. They'll shut them down right there and they're not going to be able to move. Not including their maintenance records. They need to be DOT compliant. If they're not doing their PTI and they're running around with two flat tires, they're not going to let them leave the DOT scale house without those tires being fixed. So that was their choice because they're the ones that's doing the pre-trip inspection. But if it comes to getting a lot of stuff on that MC, it's going to affect the ability to work with that broker because they're going to see the PSP. Load tracking and problem solving. Load tracking, whether you use a micro tracker, ELD, phone communication, texting, whatever it is. proves where they're at. My whole life has basically been tracked by an ELD or a logbook. Problem solving, you're just going to get good at problem solving. I mean, it's one of those things. It takes time. I mean, that's the reason I only like teaching truckers because they've already been in the midst of problem solving because everybody's truck breaks down. So you got to have these skills in order to be proficient in this. Can you dispatch without it? Yep. But you better have a good mentor. Like, for example, if you come to dispatching school with me, just give me a call. I'll tell you what it is. Shoot me a text. You're on Telegram. Shoot me a text. I'll tell you what to do. Tell me where you're at. I'm probably nowhere to even go in lots of cases, but you still need to call and check because you want to keep the value of whatever they're getting. The biggest enemy on a truck is tires. Pop, pop, pop. I mean, they're all the time going out. But if you lost something like a turbo or a fan clutch, actuator, air dryer, whatever it needs, don't just buy the whole damn air dryer system. Okay. It may be something that's in line with it that may not even affect it. Your DPF filter, did a sensor go out or did the DPF filter clogged? Did it get too cold? Is the diff actually froze up? Because it does freeze up. Ask everybody that's got a KW 680. They'll tell you, yeah, they froze up and there was no 680 sensors to be found that go inside that tank. That DPF fuel, diesel particulate fluid will freeze. So any of these issues that you need to understand when it comes to billing. I mean, when it comes to actually problem solving, billing and payment management. You got to invoice the broker to be able to send those bills because they got to be billed. They're paying for it, so it's going to the factoring service so you can get paid for it because the factoring's buying the bills. So you need to know how to send everything in and whatever that owner operator is actually dispatch. He's not going to trust you in depth. He don't know who in the hell you are. People don't even know. I don't care if you see my face here. You have no idea who I am. Okay. Am I evil? I always figure I am. It just feels like the more comfortable side of my spirit. Am I fair? I try to be as fair can be because I'm from the country and you treat people with the same respect that you would like to be treated with. But when it comes to dealing with humans, you treat them the way they want to be treated because they ain't got a choice. The best option is just to get the hell away from them because they're not good for you. And if anybody's not moving you up in the status, not just of life, but in your task that you're delegated with, however you visualize that happens in our life, what's my call in life? If they're not bringing you up or supporting you in some way, because most people only engage you in their moment of necessity. If they're not taking you up, get away from them. They're not good for you. Okay. And the same thing, you have to be able to reach out and hand back out. It's not just take, take, take. You have to sacrifice or give what belongs to other people theirs. So if you're that way in your head, get away from them people. They're poison. You can fix a lot of stuff, but you can't fix stupid. All right, customer service and dispute resolution. A customer service dispute resolution, if I obviously can do this, I hand this to my wife because it's not the ability to be able to fix a problem. It's usually the idiot on the other line because there's only so many answers to any given issue or the time constraints that I've got other tasks to do within my workday and you're not following through. You're like, well, wait. When most of the people that are actually involved in any decisions, most time they're sitting right beside them. Don't act like they're states away. They're usually inside their office running their business. As real businessmen, people don't trust other people with their business. Even the captains that have lieutenants, they don't trust their lieutenants. Are you serious? I can tell you carriers that have come apart because of their backbiting, gossiping, in office bullshit that they do to themselves. People's pride. Oh my God, the human condition, pride and making money and the stuff that it changes inside of a human being. I've seen it firsthand and it will destroy companies. So a captain, if he's got any sense, if he actually is a captain or just somebody just trying to be a pimp or whatever the hell he thinks he is, they should be in control of their company at every given point of every given day. Okay. So their lieutenant, their CEO or their COO, whatever, which one you want to call it, they're there because whoever, if you put them in that position, then obviously they're trying to obviously still, because everybody keeps thinking they're going to get higher rank. Like, what the hell? You're going to sit in the right hand of God? That seat's already taken. What you going to do? Walk up? Hey, I was better than Jesus on earth. Good luck with that shit. Okay. You're not no better than nobody. Everybody else is what? Replaceable. So don't think that you cannot be replaced. Even I can be replaced. Okay. So don't get yourself off on that twirly head. So know with the people that you're dealing when you're doing customer service has to do with your product because remember, you're a service provider. You don't produce nothing. You have to handle that. Dispute resolution, be diplomatic as you possibly can. But for me, like I'm telling you, one of my weaknesses, I have a hard time I can deal with trucking issues and stuff. Problem solving, I've got it. But when it comes to dispute resolutions, like there's a problem in it, um, I take the data, whatever I have in my hand that can prove that given fight, just like if you're going to court, right? I've got all this data. This is what proves this given situation. This is, and if I don't have it in my hand, there's no way to prove it. And they're going to stand on that ground because if they're going to win it and they're just off the cuff, then they know they can win it in a domestic, you know, civil case or whatever it might end up turning into. So there's only so much you got to give, and sometimes you have to take, and sometimes you have to take it where you didn't want to take it. So you get that point. But anyways, managing drivers and fleet scheduling. Okay, managing a driver, it's like being a fleet manager to some degree. You're just making sure the guys are where they're supposed to be. If they're performing up to standards of what the industry does, you got somebody running 200 miles, 400 miles, and all of a sudden they're dead, they might want to go see if they got cancer because something's wrong and it's affecting that performance, it's affecting your pay, it's affecting your performance in the eyes of the brokers that you're dealing with. So you need to do that. Fleet schedules, this has to do with a lot of different things. Um, you know, just overall ensuring that whatever needs to be where it needs to be as a driver or as the truck needs to be there. And it's also what scheduling does it have on the maintenance. You know, the scheduling could be a lot of different things when it comes to fleet. But you need to make sure that those loads get to where they need to be to, picked up when they need to be to, or you're going to pay dearly at your ass when it comes to that rate confirmation because you signed it on behalf of that person. And so if they lose money, you lose money. Just remember it like that. So if he's in neglect, and trust me, if he did it on his own and he didn't show up there on time, whatever is left, I'm still getting a percentage of that original gross. Make sure you put that in your your freight dispatch and service agreement. I'm not going to be accountable for your screw ups because I did my job. Okay, a man's a man. Be your damn own man. You know, I'm here to help you to succeed. So if you want somebody like me, and there's a lot of guys out there that like me are really truck drivers. I can talk to people in interview all day long for a trucking job. I know when I got a trucker on my hands. And then I know I got a ding dong on my hands. A lot more ding dongs than are truckers, I can tell you that much. They're clueless and they're insecure about left or right choices, and it's just bad. And I try to help them the best I can. I'll give them the answers, but they ain't hearing it. They're just, I mean, there's only so many things I can do for you inside the logistics community. You've got to make a choice or get out of it. Go do DoorDash or whatever the hell else you were up to before you got to transportation. Now, specialized freight handling. This is going to be everything for oversized loads, hazardous material, car hauling, marine work, even if it has a material which is going to fall over into crude oil or even frac sanding, because now you got sandboxes, is it pneumatic? All the different things that we deal inside logistics as far as our equipment. And the more you know in trucking, the more that money, that freight's going to show up on that given freight as a dispatcher because you're specialized. So you need to know, for example, for car hauling, I use it because I mean, I've done all of them, but for car hauling, like say, example, if I'm loading vehicles on there, how many trucks can I get in there? How many cars can I get in there? What does the weight need to be of these vehicles? And also how I'm stacking them. Because even though I'm not loading them, the driver should be basically thinking like I am because I know my equipment and he should know that equipment as well as I do, or even better because he's doing hands-on every day. So when he's telling me something, I also need to be able to interpret what he's telling me. And he's saying, hey, you know, that Tundra won't get in the position, whatever the hell position is, or I'm trying to put it in position one because the last drop, you know, does he need to drop it down and put it in position three so he can bring the rack down, put a small car in there? Because he's possibly not going to fit that in the belly because those are wide trucks. So he's going to have to put it on the top rack depending on the type of truck. Even if it's a trail, nine easy car loader or easy trailer in general, or 5307 XL, whatever it is, he may only be able to get in one position, you know. So you know, you need to know those things. So when he's telling you that, you get it as well. Load optimization and for freight consolidation, same thing. If you're doing LTL, as far as what it's going to cost, as far as doing LTL, what percentages you're going to charge, and making sure that you're not leaving a bunch of empty space when you need to maximize the load. We'll go back to car hauling again, for example. I drop a car, I need to pick up a car as soon as possible to maximize the overall gross revenue that truck's going to be generating for those next 7 days. So, so optimizing your load capacity and consolidating shipments can save significant costs for the client and is value added service. So make sure you know your trucks. Make sure to know how to stack your pallets. There's 4 ways to stack pallets in a truck, and including double stacking. So when can you double stack something? When can you not double stack something? Your shipper should usually let you know because they're usually loading the trailers, but make sure that it complies with weight restrictions, and do your axle slide? What if you got a fixed axle versus a sliding axle? What if you got a drop axle on your tractor? Would that help you in overall being able to carry that weight on the nose? Think about your equipment. All depends on your equipment setup. And if you don't know your equipment, if you got somebody coming in with something specialized on their tractor or their trailer, ask them, hey, how does that work? Don't just go off of it. If he don't know his damn equipment, then it's sure going to be harder for you to know what he's doing, because he may end up getting himself into trouble because he doesn't know when he or when not he can utilize those particular components on that tractor or trailer. So now, how to justify your rate based on these services: time investment, the complexity of the loads, market rates, the client size. I mean, based on how many trucks you're bringing me, and the flexibility. So, am I saying I'm doing 24/7? You need 24-hour service. You don't know when that truck's come down. I was actually doing driver recruiting, okay, and I literally had a driver, and I take all calls because I understand what it's like to be out there. That damn guy was broke down in the middle of somewhere in North Dakota. The damn water line had broke. That means that truck shut down. He had no heating. He was in the middle of nowhere. And actually, his wife said she barely got the call, and she called me, and I had nothing to do. I didn't even know which company it was. I had to go back and look up the company to figure out who in the hell he went with to get a hold of them. Hey, you got a driver down. And I don't even think I had the mile marker. And I was like, here's his wife phone number, and y'all need to give him a call. He's in trouble. He's going to freeze to death out there because it don't take long for the inside of that truck to get butt ass cold. Because without power, that's it. And the trucks don't carry generators. A regular standard tractor is just an engine with all the components in relation to when that alternator's running to keep everything moving. So, in conclusion, finding the right balance. Now, when deciding how much to charge, balance the value you're providing with the market rate for freight dispatching services. Offer a wide range of services such as load booking, route planning, communication, like 24/7, right? And regulatory compliance justifies higher rates. Now, by understanding what service justify a rate and then align it with the value you bring to the table, you'll be able to set a competitive and substantially sustainable pricing model for your independent dispatch business, obviously for your owner operators. So that being said, I hope that gives you some insight on what you're doing when you're actually dealing with your pricing factors when you're for your dispatch service. But if you have any questions or concerns, reach out, text me, call me, email me, whatever it takes to get a hold of me so we can assist you. If you want to be a freight dispatcher, let me know. It pays more than truck driving. It pays more than truck driving. Hear it again. It pays more than truck driving. So all you pissed off truckers with your little sarcastic attitude because you chose to drive a truck and didn't decide to change your flexibility inside logistics and rather keep getting abused by the carriers that you're with because I recruit. Send me your profile and I can guarantee you, I can tell you where they're getting at. But you chose it because you knew it all. So for those of us that have been in logistics a long time are willing to help you, you might really and truly want to actually help yourself by getting rid of the arrogance and just ask, hey, can you help me out? Because I ask for help anytime I need it. Why would I let my personality or the way I view life get in the way when it's help that helps me, helps them if it does, but it definitely keeps me out of trouble just within my own self. Because if there's any damn bastard that can get themselves into trouble, it's me. Okay. As I got older, things have changed, but I was my own worst enemy walking through life. So knowing this, sometimes you just have to drop the pride and say, there's somebody else that knows more than I do. And if I don't know it, I will get you the answers or I will point you to the right person for what you need. Okay. But anyways, I appreciate your time on this. I hope this helped you to understand how it is that we actually price when it comes to being a freight dispatcher in the logistics industry to maximize not just our profitability, but to ensure that our owner operators are not suffering by having to use this as their service because they work hard, they're tired, they get burnt out, they get chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue is an actual medical condition. It's not just, oh, I'm really, really, really tired. I feel so sleepy. It has depression, cortisol. There's all different kind of metabolic issues that you end up developing with in addition to respiratory, cardiac, kidney. Look it up for yourself. Talk to your doctor, okay? So these issues actually occur because you burnt yourself out pushing so hard. You got to work with people. I don't mind working for you as an owner operator. I'd love to be able to help you out because you're helping me out too. But I don't want to just get you and then I can't perform for what you need out of me. I'll let you know straight. I'm not really handling that type of truck, but I know somebody that is because I have a freight dispatching school. And almost every one of my students are former truck drivers that got out of the truck because they got tired of being abused by the carriers. They just cannot sustain their incomes that they have to have for at least a decent, even a paycheck to paycheck quality of life. And they're not taking their last paychecks, they're not taking their escrows, and all the things that people know that they're experiencing. I don't have drivers just calling me and saying, "Hey, I need a new job." They're telling me, "Hey, I need a new job because they ripped me off for $20,000." Okay, I kept running and running and running. They kept that, then they kept my escrow, and then they didn't give me my last paycheck. So they totally got me. And did they get got? Yeah, they did get got, but I can't help them on that. All I can do is listen to what happened to them. And in my efforts, as I deal with other companies, I can tell them who's not going to get them. Major carriers are not usually going to hit you. Some of the smaller carriers and scumbag carriers, I can give you a list of who they are. But somebody's going to file a charge against me, whatever of their name. But as a dispatcher, I mean, as a recruiter, I can ensure that I'm going to protect you for them or some of the concepts that you may have on what you want to get into inside logistics. Since I live and breathe it, I can say I would just hold off that for a while. I literally had a lady call me today. She's got equipment. She wants to sell it. She can't get the money out of it. Just had the engines rebuilt. And so the tractor itself is not of the best, you know, seats probably wore out, bunks probably looks rough, probably mattress probably even looks rough. We've all been in those situations. But the thing is, she can't get the money out of it. And she needs to get out of it because she had, some breakdowns and stuff that shoved her out of it, ate the savings up. Common common thing that happens inside truck. And next thing you know, now you're going string line, hoping that the next week is going to produce a profit so you can keep going. Don't roll the dice on these trucks. They're not worth it. If you have actual money and you really want to know how to make money in trucking, I can tell you, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to put your morals and ethics to the test. Okay. I know how to do it. I've dealt with all who's making money and how they're doing it. And, I'm just not in the position to be able to do it because of the path that I chose. I'm not a millionaire, but it's the path I chose. And what I did in trucking. And I'm completely content with having my school, doing the freight dispatching for owner operators, and helping recruit drivers for other carriers. But that being said, if you have questions about any of this content, don't hesitate. Reach out. If you want to become a freight dispatcher, let me know. Let's get you in the program, get you out. Don't take long to train you up. I'm just cleaning up the spots that you're missing the actual information that you need to become effective. But I also, you can get a hold of us at support at Truck Driver Nation, phone number 210-343-1118, 210-343-1118. You can talk to Maria. She'll get you in contact with me. You can go through the website, truckdrivernation.com. There's jobs in the back, so you can go to that back and see what jobs I have available. Also, the freight dispatching service is like the second one from the back. The main thing that website is concentrated on is actually training people to be freight dispatchers. And obviously, we mentor you. It's just not just a self-paced, a virtual program. So it's not just virtual. One-on-one is when you need me. When you're ready for me, we get on the phone. We don't come off until you are straightened out on what you need. Okay. But anyways, I hope this helps you. I hope this sheds a little bit more light on how everything operates in this aspect of being able to price yourself. There's other factors in here. This is not all in one scenario because every situation is different when you're dealing and you're going to get ready to price somebody. It's called negotiation. Okay. What they want, what you have to offer, what you're willing to do for that price, what's your time worth, and what you actually need to make. So once you look at those different factors, then you can find something when you lay your head down at night, based on the number of trucks that you're dispatching, you're like, okay, that filled in that gap. Now, what's the next problem inside who I'm dispatching for, whatever that issue might be? Because we problem solve every single day in transportation. But anyways, thank you for your time. I hope that helps. Look, drivers, you're out on the road. Please be careful, be safe, and we will talk to y'all soon. Thank you so much. And thanks for visiting Truck Driver Nation.